All right, welcome everyone to this webinar talking about Jamf Protect. It's a pleasure to have you all. I've got a couple of guests here with us today, Jib Chan and Mark Padginton from Jamf. These guys are going to talk through this wonderful product, which is relatively new to the Australian market. It's not a new product by any means, but a little bit new to us. So pretty exciting stuff. I guess just to kick off, we'll talk a little bit about the agenda for today, what we're going to be doing to talk through things. So practically, in terms of what we have today, there is, just that run through talking about some of the, I guess, compliant threat detection, malware prevention, that Jamf Protect brings to the table for a macOS specific focus. And to kick us off, before we get into that, just going to chat a little bit about CompNow. So CompNow has been around for many years. It is 100% Australian owned. Very much is a company that has been deep, I suppose, in the partnership with both Apple and more recently Microsoft and other key vendors in the industry. We're very proud of those partnerships, and Jamf as well has been a really, really strong partnership for us, where we actually were one of the, I guess, first or the first integrators and partners to really bring it to this country. So we're really excited about these partnerships, and we really feel that our partnerships around Apple, Jamf, and Microsoft come together in a really nice story, and there's been a fantastic way to propel our expertise in all related areas across there. As I said, other stuff about us, we have over 160 national MSA customers, managed service customers. We're also in some deep verticals around business, corporate, and education, both in higher ed and K-12. So a lot of reach here, and Jamf Protect is definitely going to be a product which can appeal to many of those. As we move on, as I said, our locations across the country, we have a range. So I'm speaking from sunny Queensland today. We've got these fellows from Jamf chatting from Sydney. We're also based in Melbourne and Adelaide and Perth as well, and Cairns actually as well here in Queensland. Moving on, just more about us and our business units, again, to talk about which you guys probably know, having dealt with us before or looking to do business with us in the future. We really are a full solutions IT supplier, managed service supplier around various areas, including engineering services, so helping the glue in between solutions like Jamf Protect that we're going to talk about today, and also a range of other services that you can see hopefully on screen there as well. So look, without further ado, I'm going to intro my friends here at Jamf, and they're going to talk through Jamf Protect, this fantastic new product. Over to you guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's presentation on Jamf Protect with Jib Chan and myself, and how Jamf Protect is solving the unique challenges of Mac endpoint security. So my name is Mark Padginton. I'm a Jamf Key Account Manager based here in Sydney. I work with our key accounts across Australia and New Zealand, providing Jamf solutions that enable them to provide an end-to-end Apple enterprise experience for both the IT teams and their end users. I have a background in security and compliance. Joining us also on today's call is Jib Chan. He's a pre-sales engineer here at Jamf and also working out of the Sydney office. We're part of a bigger team that is focusing on helping organizations navigate the Apple management and security platform and tools, as well as making the Apple management and user experience better with Jamf. So today we're going to cover a couple of topics. We're going to cover the cybercrime and the Australian economy, touch base on a bit about the Essential 8. We're also going to talk about the simplest path to macOS security by understanding how Apple is helping you to remain protected from known threats. Also talk about how does Jamf Protect work. There's many endpoint security solutions out there, but we're going to give you a look at some of the scenarios as to what Jamf Protect can do and how secure and report on those incidences. Also around security incident and response with Jamf, how to use Jamf Protect as well as other products in the Jamf portfolio to help you respond to Mac-based threats and events that are being detected. So our goal as a company is to help organizations succeed with Apple, and have indeed been doing so since 2002. That's just over 18 years now. To do that, Jamf offers a portfolio of enterprise-grade solutions that's there to help you tackle authentication device management with multiple options that will work best for you and your organization. We have Jamf Connect for authentication and identity management, Jamf Now for device management with no IT required. We have Jamf School for Education, and Jamf Pro, the leader in Apple device management. Jamf Protect is our newest product in this region. It's been available for over a year now in other areas, but we're proud to offer it now to our customers in Australia and New Zealand, and as an endpoints protection solution to help with those challenges that are unique to the Apple ecosystem. Underpinning all of this is Jamf Nation. This is the world's largest community of Apple administrators in the world, with more than 100,000 users ready to help you learn more about our products and offer support in your time and technical needs. In today's new world of working from home, and everybody knows what that's like since March this year, organizations are now exposed to an ever-changing landscape of cybersecurity risks. Australia is identified as a country of wealth and having a high level of online, socially connected population. And this makes Australia a very attractive and profitable focus for cyber criminals. Cyber criminals are more organized than ever before. They're forming syndicates and affiliates, and they offer a range of cybercrime as a service services through underground dark nets and marketplaces and closed forums. You would have heard of dark web. Cyber criminals offer valuable assets for sale. These include next generation phishing scripts, personal information, and corporate user credentials. In 2018, it was reported that Australians lost over $489 million to scams. And I'm sure you've experienced that phishing scam or that phone call or whatever it may be. In 2019, Australians lost over $634 million to scams. That's a 30% increase. This is a combined financial losses that's been reported to ScamWatch and various government agencies. And the big four banks have also provided information, being ANZ Bank, Commonwealth Bank, NAB, and Westpac. However, it's difficult to calculate the real cost of cybercrime, as its impact to the Australian economy does not include the losses around corporate intellectual property, crime associated with theft of personal identity data, and its impact to business or trade, is not always reported. The industry has collectively estimated this to be as high as $29 billion. For the period of January to June 2020, that's this year, there have been over 518 data breaches reported to the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, the OAIC. Of these, malicious and criminal attacks remain the leading cause of data breaches. The health sector is again the highest reporting sector, notifying 22% of all the data breaches reported during this period. And finance is the second highest reporting sector, notifying 14% of these breaches. In a recent ACCC report, it states that the business email compromise scams, or BECs as commonly known in the cyber criminal industry, have caused the highest losses across all scam types in 2019. This has cost an estimated of $132 million. Doesn't sound like a lot to most, but this is not taking into account the loss of additional crime associated with those actions, i.e., personal identity and IP and everything else. These targeted phishing attacks range from scammers intercepting legitimate invoices. They get these invoices, they change the details, and then they include fraudulent payment information. Or they focus on impersonating the CEO. Everybody's on LinkedIn and social and everything else. They gather the information regarding the organization, and an email comes through to a staff member that seems to be from the CEO and asks for funds to be transferred to various accounts and for various reasons. A favorite is to gain your trust, and we all see these emails come through. And as much as we try to be aware and to not click on these fraudulent environments, but these links come through. It could be from Microsoft or whatever. It goes to a fraudulent website. You share private information or even confidential information like username and log on, or even open an attachment. And this is where it starts. By clicking on that phishing link or opening that attachment, and one of these messages may install malware, viruses, spyware, ransomware on your device. All common phrases that I'm sure you've heard before. And this is something that Jib is going to help us understand in his part of the presentation, where Jamf Protect can help you mitigate these risks and concerns. There is no proven single strategy that is guaranteed to prevent cybersecurity incidents from occurring. There's no silver bullet. As previously seen, cyber risks to organizations and government agencies and enterprises are not diminishing, they're increasing. So organizations are now looking outwards and towards industry and government for standards and compliance for guidance. First published in 2017 and recently updated, the Australian Signals Directors Australian Cybersecurity Centre, or the ACSC, bit of a mouthful there, developed a set of recommended strategies and specifically for the Australian government agencies. These strategies will help them, or guidelines to mitigate these cybersecurity incidences. The most effective of these recommendations have been correlated into 8 strategies, commonly referred to as the Essential 8. Yes, they were initially created for government, but we're now seeing organizations of all sizes have recognized the value of the Essential 8, the guidelines around this format, and arranging and aligning their cybersecurity models to implement the Essential 8 as a baseline. At Jamf, we've identified the value of the Essential 8, and we've created a document that discusses how Jamf solutions align to the Essential 8 maturity model. And we're going to provide a copy of that to you following this presentation. I'd like to hand you over to Jib Chan, my colleague, who will go through the next part of the presentation regarding Jamf Protect.
Thank you, Mark. We're all aware of Apple's growth within organizations, including the enterprise, as employees are choosing Macs more. As these choices are being made, more of those devices counts are going to rise, resulting in security teams asking, how can we mitigate risk and gain more visibility into macOS that is comparable to the rest of the end user's computer state? Endpoint security solutions are nothing new, and indeed have a long history in the tech stack of any organization protecting themselves. However, this is predominantly comes on Windows. The internals of a PC have been well understood and relatively unchanged. Plus, critically, security teams know the tools available to them and how to analyze those results. When it comes to looking at both known malware as well as behavioral traits of would-be attackers. It's apparent that just as Apple devices are treated differently than PCs when it comes to OS management, they also need to be treated differently to PCs with regards to endpoint security. Malicious attackers are starting to focus on building tools that take advantage of the architecture on macOS in order to infiltrate organizations. And security teams need to be equipped with those best tools to help them defend their endpoints, regardless of the platform. Now enter Jamf Protect. Jamf Protect is a Mac-focused endpoint security solution that is going to help your organization protect your Apple endpoints. With Jamf Protect, we're going to help with some of the more unique challenges when it comes to Mac OS security. First, we're preventing Mac OS malware and watching for the behavioral traits specific to the Mac. While most malware is focused on Windows platform, the growth of Macs in the enterprise have also resulted in more Mac-targeted malware. Jamf Protect is there to ensure Mac malware is prevented from launching and quarantined on your device without further interaction by you. Beyond that, every organization needs granular understanding of what's happening on their Macs. Jamf Protect gives you insight into these unique events and behaviors and alerts to your security team to take action against these Mac-based threats, which would otherwise go unnoticed. Jamf Protect has a granular understanding of macOS behavior, including those unique to Apple architecture. Our macOS security research feeds our analysis of these activities to provide a deeper context compared to Windows First products. Next, we're going to give your organization the power of compliance, while still making sure we're preserving the end user experience that drew them to the Apple in the first place. Organizations have been charged to meet and maintain configurations and audit records of their devices for compliance. With Jamf, you have a comprehensive abilities to collect endpoint logs, audit security settings, and monitor for any drift from these guidelines without gaining insight into your IT security team. While new macOS versions released, your security tools should never be the reason you delay the macOS upgrade plans, and Jamf takes this very seriously. Lastly, incorporating custom methods of remediations to threats and security events. Jamf Protect will provide you with a variety of tools to prevent the execution of malware or unwanted applications and design the interactions with end users. So let's jump in, take a look at a couple of different scenarios and actual risks that your end users may face, followed by how Jamf Protect can help security teams protect and monitor the organization's Mac fleets. So first of all, gaining an insight into the existing Apple security tools that's built into the OS. In this scenario, we're going to cover monitoring for visibility, compliance by extending the native security tools that actually ship with the operating system. macOS comes preloaded with features like Xprotect, Gatekeeper, and the malware removal tool. These baseline protections are great, and Apple does a good job, but there are some areas that can be further enhanced to support organizations. First of these is visibility. Knowing your device is protected is one thing, but security teams need to know when these events occur and report on the status of the environment. Plus, they can determine if there's any impact. Now, here in this example, we have received or obtained an application. We're going to open it. Unbeknownst to the end user, this particular application has been compromised with malware. As we can see here, Gatekeeper has been triggered and informing the end user that this application that shouldn't be on their Mac and needs to be removed. Now, as an organization, you can respond to your end users, letting them know that you've got their back by understanding what's taken place. You can do so at any time of these native tools has an event. You can do something similar and have a sort of custom remediation prompt. And when it comes to visibility, you can now be aware when these native security tools have been triggered and take a step further by customizing it for your organization. All of this data is sent back to Jamf Protect. In this example of the Jamf Protect alert field, so at any time any of those native security tools has an event, this data is then pushed into the Jamf Protect UI. And from there, you can see we're pulling in as much data as possible about the event, meaning you can do accurate analysis of the possible threats. What is great is that Jamf Protect understands that security teams rely on more than just one tool, for all of this data can be sent to your security information and event management system. More on that later. Now, the activity detection isn't the only visibility we're going to give into the native security tools. Jamf Protect takes the visibility a step further with embedded Apple Security Dashboard. Here we have a collection of all of the events from Xprotect, Gatekeeper, and the malware removal tool. We've even added a compliance monitoring tool too, so you can validate your users are up to date on the latest version or have the features enabled. And continue on the topic of compliance. Jamf Protect is also auditing a large number of settings on the device that are currently mapped to the Center for Internet Security benchmark, which are widely adopted standards. This is all under our Insights reporting page, helping you monitor your assets and organize your securities baseline determined on compliance across the entire fleet. Each insight collected is optional, allowing you to craft a tailored report specific to you and your security posture. Another great source of visibility on the Mac is through unified logging. We know to do a properly analysis of a potential threat or malicious event, you need as much data as possible. The more contextual data you have, the more informed you are. Without that, it's like looking at a jigsaw puzzle with only half the pieces missing. Tapping into the unified logs, we can now pinpoint device, file, process, and user data, which was otherwise siloed on each individual Mac. This plus the event data collected by Jamf Protect from its curated event monitoring will give you a complete picture of the activities on your Mac. And to analyze the data, we know enterprise organizations rely on a security information event management system, or SIEM for short. So Jamf Protect can integrate with your SIEM. This is an example of Jamf Protect dashboard in a Splunk dashboard. The data is in JSON and it comes through over port 443 from the Mac. And the data is easily searchable and readable in most SIEMs. Now, you can go back to unified logging. You can see here we have visual activity from the endpoint. This data came from Jamf Protect filtering from the unified logging and generating a JSON file. With these filters, you can easily collect activity like login attempts, password changes, or airdrop transactions. Some of this may not necessarily be suspicious, but when visualized within a SIEM and combined with all your other security data, you get a bit better picture of your fleet. So back to our scenarios. What about an example that has bypassed Gatekeeper? Perhaps a perceived known binary that the user themselves has unwittingly opened. For our second scenario, Apple largely focus on really impactful threats, and they tend to steer clear of things that the end user decides to install, even if they're tricked. Jamf Protect delivers a threat prevention database curated by Jamf security research team. This will prevent execution of known malware that isn't currently covered by Apple's own security database. You'll see here in this video that the user is attempting to open a file that has recently been downloaded. As soon as the user attempts to run the process that is known threat, immediately upon execution, there is a signature match, and Jamf Protect will block and remove the threat immediately. And what's also important is all of these results are reported back to our UI. We have highlighted all of the threat prevention activity, just as like we saw earlier with Gatekeeper detection, and collecting a robust level of information. Diving deeper into that particular alert that's been collected by Jamf Protect, we've gathered a ton of additional information, including all processes involved in the execution, the binary information for those processes, including path where it was called from, as well as the hash and signing information. In Jamf Protect, you'll be kept up to date on any version changes to our threat prevention database, as well as the option of creating your own custom prevent list, allowing organizations to block processes that are unique to your organizations, essentially listing them from the binary level. This may be an application your organization has tested and disallowed. Jamf Protect agent will block these processes and quarantine the file. Any prevented execution is logged in the Jamf UI and sent to the integrated SIEM. In today's current climate, would-be attackers are now smarter and more intuitive when it comes to building threats. So let's take a look at detecting malicious activity, potentially uncovering unknown threats yet to be reported on. Unknown threats relate to different types of behaviors on a device, and that's where we've written our detections to look specifically at different techniques on the Mac that attackers are using in order to infiltrate an endpoint. For example, a compromised website masquerading as legitimate software source, a launch daemon creation, or keychain activity. So analytics are rules that detect a threat or unwanted behavior on macOS computers, and they're central to security in Jamf Protect. Analytic filters consist of sensor type and event. So for our last use case, let's take a look at some behavioral-based detection and another example of remediation. In this case, the user has been tricked into installing a fake Flash installer. This is really common delivery mechanism for macOS malware. Downloading this installer triggered a Jamf Protect heuristic detection, which for illustration purpose, we have decided to remediate by pushing a policy from Jamf Pro, making the end user aware of what actions were taken to isolate their computer by cutting it off their network. This also helps limit the impact of possible breach and keeping the computer quarantined until it can be analyzed. Heading back into the Jamf Protect console, we'll see all of the information this event has reported. Analytics are based on NS predicate. So you can see the details of analytics, create your own should you want specific data points, and activate analytics depending on the organization's requirements. Continuing on from our example scenario, the data collected even includes the actual URL the malicious software was downloaded from. This is one example of behavioral event analytics. We have an extensive number of heuristic analytics as well as mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So when the security team identifies a threat on an endpoint, we has to get involved in helping to manage the isolation and remediation of the computer. Jamf Protect and Jamf Pro make a great combination for this. Jamf Pro identifies an issue with a Mac. It, in turn, will place the Mac into a special smart group. The smart group can be placed into an exclusion scope, so things like access to corporate information so that threats don't continue to expand to other end users, or removing the appropriate certificate that grant access to Wi-Fi or VPN until they contact the help desk for remediation. When recovery can be managed through the self-service by the end user, Jamf Pro can easily provide instructions to guide the end user back into a safe state. After an attack has been stopped, cleaning up the computer is always complicated, since usually the device is not physically present to IT. With Jamf Pro, any remaining artifacts from the attack can easily be managed remotely. For extreme cases, IT can even reinstall the macOS on the device and redeploy any existing application to ensure that the computer is once again safe and fully trusted. So today we've taken a quick look into Jamf Protect, giving organizations the monitoring and visibility of all of the activity that's important to security teams on their Mac. Custom response and remediation, integration into their SIEM, and auditing of your devices. All of the while still mapping to the industry standard with our behavioral detections, processing all the analysis on the device. We don't need to send the data to a secondary source to keep our reporting in near time as possible. As well as going to minimize the device resources to preserve the experience that draws the user to Apple in the first place. And like always with Jamf, we will support the latest release of the macOS from the day Apple makes it available. Now, thinking back to the Essential 8 discussed by Mark, we've seen real-time blocking and preventing malware delivery and execution, as well as remediation paths with Jamf Pro. We've seen preventing of malicious installers and updaters, user applications and OS hardening with the CIS benchmarks reporting and alerts, being aware of security incidents by proactively feeding unified logs to monitor events on the Mac. We've seen all of these being foundational to the mitigation strategies of cybersecurity incidents. So let's finish off by looking at Apple and the security model for macOS from the bottom up. macOS contains a baseline security capabilities like file vault encryption. It provides native security tooling built on top of trust, signing, notarization, and malware scanning. It provides local logging and visibility via its unified log. Jamf Pro layers on here first with capabilities to manage local encryption of file vault, key escrow, and hardening the endpoints with best practice via configuration profiles and policies. Jamf Protect provides an additional layer of security out of the box. We'll add compliance auditing against a set of industry standard benchmarks. It brings visibility to the native security tooling by reporting not only on configuration, but also any detection and actions taken by the OS. And as shown earlier, macOS-centric threat prevention blocks and quarantine events. Most advanced feature within Jamf Protect is our ability to detect the unknown or brand new variants of threats by dynamically analyzing activities and behaviors. For the final insight into macOS, we provide capabilities to centralize unified logging activities, allowing you to filter through this rich data set across your entire fleet, streaming only what's important to you and into the central repository. All of this coupled with Jamf Pro to remediate threats and further improve your security posture. And with Jamf Connect, we then ensure that all of our users maintain good identity security and manage their single sign-on experience. Finally, we have an exclusive focus on Apple and a history of providing same-day support for their new operating systems and services. This ensures end users can take advantage of Apple's new capabilities from the day they're launched. And today we're proud to share our portfolio has supported the Apple Silicon from day one of launch, and our customers with those new devices are excited to be able to enjoy them. And of course, we're nothing without our customers, and that's proven with our Jamf Nation community. This online forum is a home to over 100,000 IT-focused individuals that learn from each other, discuss best practice, and have access to a wealth of resources and third-party tools. So create a free account today and join the discussion. Thank you, and now back to Aaron to close us out.
Sorry, guys. Hashtag 2020, you're on mute. So look, thanks guys. Jib, that was a fantastic job for giving us that breadth of understanding around just the practicalities of what Jamf Protect and in partnership with the rest of the portfolio at Jamf, what that brings to the Mac platform. So fantastic job. We have a couple of questions that have come through that I'm going to shoot through and just have a quick little discussion about the two of them. The first one is this: is machine performance reduced or consumed with Jamf Protect like we see with other security tools in the market? Which one of you wants to take that one?
Definitely, I'll take that one. I'd love to say no, it's not, and we can do that from what we've been seeing in the wild. Like I said in that presentation, one of the key things we focus on is end performance. A lot of the security environment that we're leveraging is built into the OS, so there's not layer upon layer upon layer. If you've got something in your environment at the moment, we're happy to have a side-by-side comparison. A lot of customer environments are using developer tools, and there's nothing worse than them having to compile an application or run an Xcode project, and it really lags behind. Definitely, that's probably the best I can offer around that.
No, that's great. That's great. The second question, which is a two-parter, is does it matter what MDM I use alongside Jamf Protect? And that's the first part. The second part is, does it replace an MDM or anything about an MDM? I might insert my little take on that.
No problem. So answering the first question, you can use it with other MDMs, but the remediation part you're unable to do because we're leveraging some Jamf APIs there. The second question, if I remember that correctly, is does Jamf Protect replace the requirement or does it act as an MDM? So no. The best way to look at that is, and Apple's view of MDM is it's one MDM to rule them all. So you have an MDM to manage the device, and that's for your Apple administrators. And you have Jamf Protect, which is your security tool, which is for your security team. So there should be no crossover there. And if you look at, especially in Big Sur, there's, configuration profiles shouldn't be managed or can't be managed outside of an MDM. So therefore, you really need to coordinate that configuration management.
Oh, that's a great, I guess, insight, and probably my own commentary on that, which actually I feel really rings true, is Jamf taking this approach of Protect plus Pro means that exactly like you said, some of the remediation steps actually aren't potentially within the realm of a security tool. They're actually in the realm of an MDM. So there is actually, as Apple continues to iterate and evolve, a pretty hard wall that a lot of these security tools may hit where they're not an MDM, so they cannot remediate in the way that is Apple's best practice, or even remediate at all for that particular thing. So the architecture you guys have chosen of Pro plus Protect actually is in line with Apple's vision, and as far as we can assume, Apple's future plans.
Right on.
Do we all agree?
Agreed.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, thank you everyone for coming in to join this session. Very insightful. Great thanks to our friends here, Mark and Jib, for spending their time to talk about Protect. Here at CompNow, we are obviously here to help support you with any questions or any interest you have in not only Jamf Protect, but the entire Jamf product line and Apple management as a whole. Please reach out to our team, reach out to, if you have a regular contact, to them. And also, if you don't, hit us up with the links that we're going to send through after this session. There will be a free trial that will be sent out as well, and access details for that. Please look out for that. And as always, send through any questions, any comments that you have. More than happy to help you out with your Apple management strategy with Jamf moving forward. Again, thank you all, and have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.